A gal from under the old road. 1. Exit. I still remember that turn. The navigator blinked, rerouted the route, and said in a dry voice, "Turn right." That was a mistake. The asphalt there looked old, grey, cracked, as if it hadn't been repaired in 20 years. Along the edges were the occasional unplugged poles. The forest was almost right there. "Are you sure?" Igor asked. "The navigator is leading," I replied. "We'll cut through the traffic jam." Lyokha only chuckled. "The main thing is not to hell." We laughed. It seemed like a joke then. 2. Silence. After about 10 minutes, it became too quiet. Not in the car, but all around. Usually, at least something can be heard in the forest at night. The wind, insects, the occasional bird. Here, nothing. Even the tires seemed to stall, as if the road itself was swallowing the sound. "Do you hear that?" said Lyokha. "What?" "Exactly." I turned down the music. The silence was oppressive. So much so that I wanted to turn on something again, anything to get away from it. The connection was completely lost. 3. First stop. We stopped when we saw a sign. Old, rusty, leaning toward the forest. The inscription was barely legible. Village Vyazovka, 2 kilometers. "Does anyone even live here?" Igor asked. I shrugged, and then Lyokha said, "Let's go take a look." That was the second mistake. 4. Village. The village turned out to be not abandoned. The houses were intact. The windows weren't broken. Some even had curtains hanging. But there was no light anywhere. Not a single one. And most importantly, not a single sound. We walked down the street, the gravel crunching under our feet. The sound seemed too loud in the deathly silence. "I don't like this," Igor said. "Oh, come on." I didn't finish. There was someone standing in one of the windows. I saw it out of the corner of my eye. When I turned around, there was no one. 5. The old woman. We were almost ready to go back when we heard a voice. "Lost, kids." She was standing right in the middle of the road. An old woman. Thin, bent over, wearing a long dark headscarf. I couldn't figure out where she'd come from. A second ago, the street had been empty. "Yeah," I said. "We were just passing through." She smiled, and that's when it became truly creepy, because her smile was too wide, and too motionless. "You shouldn't drive here at night," she said. "The roads are bad." "We already noticed," Lyokha tried to joke. She slowly turned her gaze to him. "He senses," she said quietly. "Who?" The old woman took a step closer. "The one who lives under the road." 6. Warning. "Listen," I said. "We just need to get out." She interrupted. "When people drive along the road, he doesn't get out." "Who?" "A gal." Igor swore quietly. "Stories," Lyokha whispered. But the old woman continued. "But if we stop, if we get off, if we go into the village." She leaned toward me. I smelled the cold scent of earth. "He's starting to search." 7. Error. We returned to the car faster than we had walked. The old woman remained standing on the road. She wasn't following us. She was just watching. I started the engine, and at that moment, the car stalled. "What the?" I tried again. Nothing. "The battery." Igor said, "It can't be." Lyokha slowly turned to the window. "She's gone." I looked. The road was empty. 8. The first sound. At first we thought it was the wind, but then it became clear. It was digging, somewhere under the road. A dull sound, like something heavy was moving underground, right beneath us. 9. Tracks. Should we get out? Lyokha said, "Are you serious? Maybe it's the tires." We finally got out, and immediately saw them. Tracks. Deep, elongated, as if made by huge fingers. They started right under the asphalt and stretched toward the car. 10. It's near. The sound grew louder. The ground moved right next to the wheel. I recoiled. The asphalt cracked, and from the crack emerged a hand, if you can call it that. Long grey, too thin, too human and inhuman at the same time. Get in the car, Igor yelled. 11. The face. When we slammed the doors, it was already emerging, slowly, as if flowing out of the ground. The face appeared last, and I regretted seeing it, because it was familiar, very familiar. It was Lyokha's face, but distorted, with an elongated mouth, with eyes that had no pupils. Lyokha screamed, "It's not me." 12. Understanding. And then I understood. It doesn't just hunt. It copies. It becomes what it sees, what it can replace. 13. Knock. It approached the car. Slowly. It knocked on the window. Quietly, as if politely, and whispered in Lyokha's voice, "Open up." 14. Separation. Igor couldn't take it anymore. He opened the door and ran. "Stop!" I yelled. Too late. It turned and smiled. Now it had two faces. 15. Forest. Igor ran into the forest. Lyokha and I stayed behind. I couldn't go out. I couldn't leave him. But I also couldn't stay. Sound. Scream. Sharp. Cut off. 16. Silence again. A minute later, everything was quiet again. Absolutely. Just like before. As if nothing had happened. Only, in the distance, between the trees, stood two figures, and both were looking at us. 17. The last. "We are not getting out," whispered Lyokha. I nodded, but at that moment, the engine started on its own. I didn't even turn the key. 18. Return. I hit the gas. We drove away. Quickly. Without looking back. Never. 19. But, after a few kilometers, the connection returned. The music turned on by itself. The navigator said, "You've arrived." I stopped.